Hey, everybody. I'm Chad Eckert. That's Joe Idone, and this is the Preferred Lines podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Preferred Lines. You might be watching this on YouTube or listening to this on iTunes, but if you are watching on YouTube, you'll find a YouTube star is with us. Chris Durell, Jagerbom's 9. But it's 2021. Let's crack a beer to that.
Yeah, it's totally. It's a brand new season. It felt like last season just ended, to be honest.
Yeah, it really did. It felt like somewhat hours ago. But yes, only one major. Screw 2020. I hated that 2020 season. We got no players. I mean, there was a Ryder Cup that was taken from us, but that just means 2021 is going to be epic, and it's going to be amazing, and it starts with the Safeway Open.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's the podcast you're listening to. That's, we just got done with the Tour Championship. Dustin Johnson, kind of boring, little user. But, yeah, whatever. It is what it is, and it's over. So let's move on, right?
Start a new season.
Let's go.
It's a grocery store open. That's a prestigious open. A grocery chain, the Safeway. Do you have Safeways up there in Saskatchewan? Because we don't in Minnesota.
Really? Yeah, we do. I've always had one, and it really brings nostalgic to me. Like, takes me back to the '90s. It's just like their symbol, and just just walking into their store makes me feel like a kid again. But yeah, I don't really shop there anymore. I'm not big into the old air miles anymore, so it's too far away. It's like an hour and a half for me.
Well, you are in Saskatchewan. This is Chris Jagerbom's Durell. Hey, a Vikings fan, so he's welcome here. Skol, the season's starting this week. It's great.
Yeah, like I should be
rocking that.
Wearing this hat, actually.
There he is.
We'll switch that up. I didn't even think it was coming on. I was just watching the Jays game, so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely Skol. It's an exciting season.
Right on. Well, okay. You are a fantasy golf content provider on YouTube and other places, including Twitter, and that's kind of where we know you from a spreadsheet, a beautiful, masterful spreadsheet.
Thank you.
It's now hidden behind a paywall. So where do we find this? Where do we find you, Chris?
Yeah, multiple places. I started out my career, 5.5 years ago for DFSR.com, Daily Fantasy Sports Rankings, so you can get it over there with their full subscription package. I also write over on rotopros.com as well. And then I have my own Patreon page now, patreon.com/Jagerbombs. And it's pretty much just a sheet for almost every single sport, even e-gaming and stuff like that. And a subscription for, like I said, every sport, or if you want all the sports, you can pay for that as well.
I remember talking to you. You were a guest on a guest on the Fantasy Golf Pod interview series, and you had just bought a video game and we're playing it to figure out some strategies or something. Like, you were that into it. You give some advice. You've had some winners. You've done some stuff, but golf is kind of your favorite thing. Joe, before I get into the real interview, Joe, are you there? I know it's been a long weekend for you. You had your buddy's weekend of golf and you won or something. I mean, I saw this belt on Twitter. Joe Idone, the champion of the whatever tour.
Yeah, the Labor Day Classic. It's an annual extravaganza. Shout out to the boys who are now all subscribed to the podcast. I made sure that they all subscribed while we're there. So shout out to the boys. Had ourselves a great weekend in Sea Island. Played almost 5.5. We got a little darkness one day, 5.5 rounds of golf in 3 days.
Nice. How are your hands?
My hands are fine. My internal system is a little beaten up, but I feel good, man. I feel good. It was fun. Check this out. I got this. This is the trophy. I'd show this off.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that there, but
it's a beauty.
Pretty badass belt.
Okay.
No, we had fun. We do it Ryder Cup style. It was a good trip. We'll do it again next year. We're going to Ozarks next year, where Phil just won. So we're pretty fired up about that.
Okay. Now, Chris, were you at the DFS Open? Are you planning on going, or
I was
maybe?
not. It was
Okay.
too far of a trip for me. I am. If we do have it in the future, if it does happen again, I've definitely got it on my checklist.
Okay, cool.
Very good.
Well, all right, Joe. Enough of that. Let's introduce the segment.
Yeah, let's talk to the expert here. So Chris, what we do, Chad and I, we don't know anything, so we try to bring someone on to guide us and steer us in a direction of people who know more than we do about this stuff. So that's where you come in. What we're gonna do is kind of put you in the hot seat a little bit. We'll each ask you a couple questions that are on our mind if you're up for it, and we'll get you out of here hopefully in a timely fashion where you can get back to your spreadsheets and data crunching.
Let's rock and roll.
Let's do it. Chad, you want to start off?
Yep. And like I said, if you want to know a little bit more, you want to dig a little deeper, if this isn't enough for you on Chris, I mean, we got about 10 questions. If you want more than that, you can go search on iTunes or YouTube for a Fantasy Golf Pod interview that we did. And during that interview, we discussed your love for golf and why golf and why golf betting, first of all.
It's just, the sweat, I guess. Golf sweating is unlike other sports. It's not a nightly thing. It's not just a couple hours sweat. It's 4 days of sometimes agonizing over, I play DFS and betting. So it's really that rush I guess that you get from people get, from gambling and betting on sports. It gives me more into watching the games because, you're not just a fan of your team, like watching the Vikings, now watching golf or watching like football on Sundays, watching golf. You've got exposure to so many different things in terms of fantasy and golf betting and your own team and your favorite players. So it's just that rush that really keeps you going. And then stats. I'm a stat nerd, so I just love putting all the stats together. And PGA's got like 4 billion, so it's great.
Yeah, in respect to speaking about stats, I'm curious with your spreadsheets. Is that something that is that something you manually enter every week, or is there a way that automatically downloads for it? And what is the number one column on your spreadsheet that you put the most weight in every week?
Okay. No, I when I first started this like 5.5 years ago, I knew nothing about I knew computers, but I didn't know spreadsheets or anything like that, any formulas and stuff like that. So it was all manual entry. It was literally 2 days. Like I'd start like Saturday and be ready for like Monday afternoon for the tournament. And I've developed over the years just doing like Google searches and stuff like that and YouTube videos and just kind of taught myself how to go and build, not necessarily scrape websites, but bring in stats into a spreadsheet and then be able to just easily put a field in every week and have those stats update so that it saves days of updating every week. But and then in terms of my favorite stat, strokes gained is where I always go in terms of stats. In terms of my overall model, I look at about 40% stats, sometimes closer to 50, and then a little bit more in terms of current form over course history. And it really all depends. That can really change on a week-to-week basis depending on what course, what the weather conditions are, the field, how many players have actually played that course before. Sometimes I'll just eliminate course history altogether. I don't really have if you made me choose whether I prefer course history or form, I'd probably say form, but again, it really all depends on the week.
Well, so then how do you construct your betting card each week? Do you have a rule number one? Do you bet a lot, or do you more play DraftKings?
This year I've played a lot more DraftKings just because of the content that I'm creating, and most of the members that I have are more driven towards the DraftKings, FanDuel, that sort of thing. Last year I was coming off a great year. I think I had seven winners overall last year betting, and then this year's been an absolute disaster, really humbling. I haven't had any winners this year in terms of betting, but the top 10s, top 20 market is kind of what I've been attacking a lot more. It's a little bit safer, and I compare it a lot to like cash games for DFS. The top 20s, especially, I'll try and go and get like 3 or 4 top 20 guys. And then my 2 favorite of the top 20s, I'll go and I'll put a top 10 on them as well. And then maybe my favorite of that group, I'll go put an outright and then maybe go and grab 1 or 2 other. But really what I'm looking for every week in terms of betting when I'm first looking to build my card is I try and narrow it down to like 10 plays. Usually two in the, like, let's say 18 to like 25, 30 to 1 range, and then two a little bit longer. And then when I finally get my card down to like 6 golfers, I kind of want 2 long shots in there. It's kind of how I balance it in every week. And that's, again, every week is going to be a little bit different, but generally that's what I'm going to start with. And that's like my template every week.
Now, when you're sort of developing that, do you bet with units, or how do you allocate different amounts toward the top and the bottom, or do you keep it pretty consistent throughout when creating a card?
Yeah, I usually try and go like a half unit on my, on my bets. So I'll usually go on the upper guys, usually like a full unit bet, would, I guess you could say. And then the guys down below, I'm going just a little bit less. And then in the mid-range, something I'm always trying to do with guys like between 30 and like say 60, 70 to 1 is really put those each ways in there as well. Depending on what book you use, obviously. If there is no each ways, I usually just go and like hunt out like a top 5 and try and get it in there. But each ways I bet a lot, and it's usually between that 30 and 60 to 1, because I learned the hard way years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, just how many times I had a guy in that final group on Sunday get in there and then lose it at the end and not have that each way to get, some of the profit back. So I quickly learned to start throwing that each way on there.
I got a question for you about like criteria for clicking. Why? What makes you select a name? Is it the approaches coming in? Do you look for some? I know we kind of just jumped over that with the course form and recent form or whatever. What's your main criteria for the click?
Yeah, it's really comes down to, like, when I narrow it down, I'm looking at a whole bunch of stuff down to those 10 players. But when I really dig in and narrow those 10 players down to like the 6 or 5 or whatever on my card every week, I'm looking at form big time, looking at strokes gained, ball striking coming in. Putting has a lot more variance on a week to week. So I don't necessarily need a guy that's coming in with a hot putter. He can get hot real quick with the putter, but I want guys that are ball striking it really well. The one mistake that I've made in the past that I'm really going to work on going forward into 2021 was being early on a guy. Like I was on John Rahm, he didn't hit, and then I was off of him, and then of course he went out and won. Did the same thing with DJ. I did that probably 4 times this year. So something I'm going to do is, if I'm on a guy who's maybe ball striking it really well, maybe his around the green game has been good, he's been putting together top 10s, top 25s, that sort of thing, and it looks like he's trending for to win, I'm going to ride that outright bet for 2 or 3 tournaments and just kind of see where it goes. And as long as the form stays there, the ball striking's there, I'm going to stick with it until he kind of gets that win. If you even ride a guy for 3 or 4 weeks in a row in that instance and he's at the right number, obviously you got to look for value. If you're betting the guy at 8 to 1 every week, you're going to lose money in the long run. But if you're looking at a guy in the 20, 30 to 1, 40 to 1 range, you can really go about that like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And if he wins one of those 4 weeks, it really makes up for all of it. So that's kind of the way I've been looking at it going forward.
So let's talk long shots for a minute. It's my favorite part of golf betting is picking these guys in triple digits and seeing them sort of make a run. When they're 100, 125 to 1, obviously the stats are going to indicate that. Like, there's nothing that's going to be huge popping, or they wouldn't be that number. So what is a trend you can look at stat-wise for those guys in the triple digits, maybe one column that you see that they pop in that could propel them? If one thing flips, it could mean victory.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely when I start digging down into those, let's say outside the 100 to 1 range or whatever, I'd like to see a guy that maybe has, that top 5 or top 10 at the past at that course. He's maybe familiar with it. So get that in there. Not necessarily on the form, because you're not really going to see a guy. The reason he's priced down that, or priced for DFS, but the reason he has that big number generally is because the form isn't there. But if I can just start digging a little bit deeper on a few of those guys, maybe go grab 5 of them and just start digging deeper into the actual per round stuff and see a guy that's maybe popping in terms of his approaches, which again is going to correlate with your opportunities gained. Maybe just isn't making the birdies. He's got a really cold putter, but maybe in the long term, his putter is, let's say, a stroke per round or a half stroke per round better than what it's performing at right now. I'll kind of look at a guy that way and say, okay, it looks like he's getting the opportunities to make birdies. He just hasn't converted. And if he does convert, it's kind of the same as going in and looking at that ball striking. Obviously, they're not going to have the same kind of numbers as the guys in the 20, 30, 40 to 1 range, but just looking for just like a little bit of form out of those low guys. Because you're dead on with betting those long shots and watching them on the leaderboard. If they make the cut, you get excited. And, come Sunday, if they're like within the top 25, within 3-4 strokes, you're super excited. And those are guys, if you feel really confident about, I really do like the each ways on them, because those top fives, they do pay pretty good if you're looking at a guy at 200 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
No, you want just good enough that Vegas doesn't like them, but good enough that it's worth the risk on.
Exactly.
Anyway, 2020 is over. We pretty much know DJ should be or will be the player of the year after he capped off the Tour Championship. But that doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is who, Chris, is your favorite player?
After this whole year, I liked him a lot at the start of the year going in, and he only increased that. Colin Morikawa. It was awesome to see him win the major. But what really gets me with him isn't so much his play. It's just his demeanor on the course. He just always seems to have a smile. He always seems to be enjoying himself. Just everything about that, just out there having fun, it just is really drawn me to watching him every time, like he's on TV or on the PGA Tour Live, one of those main groups. I'll sit there and watch every shot for the first 2 days there. So it's definitely him by pretty good margin.
Who do you like? Do you have anyone on your radar, for this new season that's the next Colin Morikawa, or someone that maybe we haven't heard of that you can see sort of stepping into that mold and really kind of propelling his career?
Yeah, that player would be Scotty Scheffler for me. Really like what he's doing, like with ball striking. I think he was top 10 off the tee, like for the end of the year, and then I think like top 35 or something like that in approach, which probably puts him somewhere in that top 20 of ball striking. The putter's what really let him down. If he ends up getting that figured out, I really do think that, he was 10th in tee to green this whole year. So I really think he's going to propel and get a win here. I'm going to say in the fall season, but overall, if I don't have to go that close to time, I think it would be definitely this 2020, 2021 season we're going to see him pick up a win.
Okay, the Safeway board, it is a doozy. Any thoughts yet on this thing? I know it's already Monday afternoon, so I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I was looking at Kuchar a little bit in that 20 to 1 range, but he just withdrew about 20 minutes ago. So that this field's just getting worse by the hour. So by the time, it's going back to Thursday tee times again, Thursday morning here. I don't know what the field's actually going to look like, but him going out is definitely going to drop the numbers of some. I was looking at Harold Varner at 41 to 1. I put a little bit on him early in the week. He's already down to. And I'm on Bet365 up here in Canada. It's the one, I don't know. I've always been keen to them, I guess you could say, because the payouts have always been good. I've had troubles with other sites up here in Canada.
Yeah.
But Varner's down to 36 now, so it's dropped a little bit. Other than that, like seeing Siwoo Kim at 21 to 1 just doesn't hit me at all. But Varner, he's got top, T17 or better in 3 of his last 4 trips here. He's got a top 10 in his last 2 events. The ball striking's been there, so he's kind of one that I'm really looking at there in I'd say the top 20 on the board, I guess you could say.
Well, all right, Safeway is what it is, but I want to talk to you a little bit while we got you here about the U.S. Open next week. So these U.S. Open setups by the USGA are obviously some of the most difficult of the year. Is there a certain stat that you weight more heavily when a course is going to play that difficult? And part 2, is there anything you glean course-wise, dating back to 2006 when it was last year, or is it going to be totally different setup in 2020?
I think it's going to be a pretty hard setup. I'm not full into my research for into the course just yet. I'm going to probably start that tomorrow once I get my articles out and video and stuff for this week. But one thing I do look at a lot when it comes to the just generally hard courses is strokes gain around the green really gets a bump for me in the model. Usually I'll only use strokes gain around the green for my cash game models for DFS. Just generally those guys that are going to get up and down are the ones that are going to make the cut versus the guys that are going to put up extra bogeys are not going to make the cut. But it kind of goes over into sports betting as well, as you don't want to give those strokes back to the field. And it's kind of a survival of the fittest. We've seen that a few weeks ago here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That strokes gained tee to green, I guess, would be the one that gets the biggest boost, maybe bogey avoidance, but that bogey avoidance kind of covers a large range of stats. So it's mostly that strokes gain around the green. And then, of course, not so much for the U.S. Open, but in general, just looking at the grass types and the guys that putt better on, say, Poa versus Bermuda and Bent and stuff like that.
So who's your preferred play for the Safeway? Is it HV3?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm not sure even if like DFS prices are out yet. I haven't even checked. I'm probably behind. Yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm behind on my sheet. So my sheet's not out yet, by the way. So I guess I'm only behind in updating my sheet. So I'll just go with that. But yeah, I definitely like Varner. I imagine he's going to be in like 9K range, something like that. But him, Ches Reavie right there. They're right there kind of on the odds board together. Reavie's got a little bit lower number. He's had some consistency here. Going down, maybe Chess and Hadley, maybe it depends on the number that I'm going to get on him. He was at 76. I don't know if that dropped or not, but those are kind of three that I'm really looking at.
You're going to like HV3s at 9,100 on DraftKings.
Oh, I'll take that. Yeah, I definitely like that as a core play. In this field, the way he's been ball striking, you could probably get away with playing him at 95 to 10K, but I'll take him at 91. Probably going to be chalky.
Anyone on your radar? I know you said you haven't dug too much into the course before the U.S. Open. Like, do you have any bets made? And is there anyone you're waiting for that number to be at the right spot to grab?
Yeah, I haven't bet anything on the U.S. Open yet just because I wanted to dig into the course more, and now we're within a week here, so I'm not really going to get any of those long shots. I usually like betting the majors like 6 months in advance or whatever, whenever the numbers start coming out, to maybe try and grab some value there. I didn't do that for the U.S. Open. Just been crazy with all the sports going on at once, trying to get all the sheets out, so I kind of missed that train. But John Rahm and Justin Thomas, I say that because I'm in that GUP one and done contest and sitting up there pretty good. And I've got those two left, and I really can't decide who to use at the U.S. Open. So I'm probably going to bet them both. So if I screw up and make the wrong choice in my one and done, I'm at least going to be able to cover that with the outright bet.
Got to do it. Hedge it.
Yeah.
Chris Durell at Jaeger_bombs 9 on Twitter. Follow him there. Plug your stuff. Where can we watch you?
Yeah, man. Over on YouTube, you can hit me up there. I don't know exactly what the YouTube channel. Just search Chris Durell. It will definitely come up. You can get my sheets over at patreon.com/JaegerBombs. $5 per sport, 10 for all sports, and I think I'm up to, with NFL starting this week, 10 sports right now. So that's a $45 value, $50 value now for $10. So come over, hit it up, and get you into the Slack. And I'm pretty much in there 24/7.
Love it. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on, and let's go HV3.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. That was fun.
Pleasure, Chris. Thanks a lot, man. Best
Later,
of luck
guys.
with everything.
Talk to you soon.
Take it easy.
There he goes. Chris, Jaeger bombs. When's the last time you had a Jaeger bomb?
Oh, man. It's been a long time,
Yeah,
man.
me too.
Not since I moved to Florida have I had a Jaeger bomb. This place downtown where I used to go to college, we used to pound those bad boys at the loft, but it's a long time.
If you want to hear the story about that, look it up on the Fantasy Golf Pod interview with Chris Durell. We talked about why he's Jaeger bombs. And we're cracking beers and opening the betting board to the Brendan Steele Open. It is
the Brendan Steele Open.
He won it back-to-back a couple years ago. Griot's won here. So you don't really need to be a good putter, apparently. You just need to snipe the ball. Or you could be Kevin Tway or Cameron Champ last year. Bombers.
Bombers.
I guess you can win in a variety of ways here at the Safeway Open and win that big barrel of wine.
Yeah, it's a funny little trophy. Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's get to the tippity tip top where you see Si Woo Kim, which is a weird thing to see.
Yes.
We've officially reached the fall swing. Although it's 20-1 top of the board. So that's interesting. And now that Kuchar's withdrawn, some of these numbers might lower. I don't know. You got Kuchar, which was 22, is gone. Phil 22, Lowry. I mean, I'm getting these numbers. They're probably changed some places, different areas, but that's like the top of the board. And then you have Steele, Garcia 25, Griot, Joel Damon, and Jordan Spieth 28-1. Oh my goodness. There's 9 guys in the 20-1 range. Well, 8 now.
Who in their right mind makes Siwoo Kim 20-1?
I don't understand.
What are they thinking? Who's betting that?
I don't
Nobody's
know.
betting that. It's insane. He's been playing great. He's Siwoo. He's anybody who's followed him through the years know he's almost impossible to predict. When they hang triple digits on him, sometimes you take a flyer, but at the top of the odds board is insane.
I do like a
Phil,
couple names.
It's hard to know. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to like Phil, but him being number 2, coming off that win, I think I've said it to you many times, he's going to win again, and I think this is a great spot for him, but I don't like it the week before the U.S. Open. He's talked about it before and been pretty open about how many times these events, he's using it strictly as a tune-up. He's going to try shots that he wouldn't normally take if he's trying to win a tournament, so I'm a little reluctant there. I'm passing on everyone in the 20s. Do you have anybody?
Oh, yeah. I'm on the 28-1 number of Joel Damon.
Okay.
I think it's a value for Joel Damon, who's definitely played well and shown up on leaderboards, has the winner's mentality, or wants to have that PGA Tour win. We know he likes money, and he's just a fun guy to root for. So I don't want to miss it, especially since 28-1 in this field seems fair for Joel Damon and his ability to do things. And then Spieth, I also took Spieth at 28 because I
know.
I don't know. He's taking some time off. The same exact story. Let's just what have we said every single week about Jordan Spieth? Like maybe he finds it this week. Maybe something happened.
Right.
Maybe he took some time off and it's better for him. Oh, maybe he's motivated by seeing JT, and maybe this and maybe that, and all of these things, same things. But I just feel like it could be the week. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
No. I get it, man. It's crazy, like seeing Siwoo at 20 and Spieth at 28. Like, what universe are we in right now? I can see it. I'm not gonna bet it. His off the tee numbers are staggeringly bad. I wish he would come back and show some signs, but it would make sense if he would come back and win this event. He should be the betting favorite this week. It's kind of embarrassing that he's not. Mm-hmm. Even 6 months ago, as bad as he was playing, he probably would have entered this field the favorite. But he
may end up being the favorite, low. Joe. When
it's buy low.
He may lock in as the favorite once the public gets in on this 28-1. They see like, wait, it's like I get Jordan. Oh my gosh, and everybody else floats back. You never know.
Everybody hits rock bottom. It's just whether he's gotten there yet.
God, it's so sad. But anyway, you got 30-1 at Snedeker, Ches, Doc Redman is here, EVR, HV3, Chris Jägerbaum, Durell's guys. It's Streelman. They're in the 30s. I got a bet on Doc at 33. I feel like we've seen enough of Doc to know that he's actually a legitimate player on the PGA Tour.
Love me some Doc. I went another way. I went with Ches at the same number.
Okay.
Been hitting the ball, striking his irons really well. Had a good July leading into it. I think finished 6th at the St. Jude where I looked, and he lost like 6 strokes putting and still finished. If he would have finished even in putting that week, he would have won the event. 5 straight years he's played this course, so he knows sort of the ins and outs. He knows the layout. I think it being sort of a short week, maybe I think guys were there to prepare, but just a short week mentally may be a little bit different for some guys. Having a little course knowledge and history could suit him well. And his worst finish in those 5 years is 33rd. So he's been there and he's playing well. 33-1, I took Ches, and that's my only bet in the 30 range.
Okay. I got a Cam Davis bet at 40-1. I've been betting him on different fields worse than this, and about the same number, I feel like, or maybe 80, but still, I don't know. He's got talent. So, and one of these things that's like the fall swing is the breakout win area of the world. So you just get ready for it. I mean, obviously the U.S. Open's in 2 weeks, but then after that, there's enough events where some of these dudes are going to go for checking the box. And maybe this is one of the times where Cam Davis, a 40-1 checks the box. Bug Cauley is 50-1. Keegan, Sam Burns, also 50-1, and Will Gordon. Any interest in these guys?
I looked a lot at my guy Cauley Buds. Didn't take him. I just don't know. I'm kind of going with the narrative this week of Bombers. They seem to, any place that Kevin Tway and Cameron Champ go back to back, you mix in a little Brendan Steele, 2-time winner there, seems to set up for guys who hit it long and hit it straight. So I shifted to Sam Burns at 50-1. I think a lot of people, I think he's going to be very popular this week. You look at his stats and strokes gained pretty much across the board in any column, and it's all green. He's playing really good golf. He's one of the most talented players in the field that is yet to break through. This could be a good spot for him. I know we often refer to him as Bermuda Burns, and I don't think it's Bermuda grass this week out there, but still so talented, hits the fifth in the field in driving distance. And I also took Danny Lee at 55-1. I was hoping for a little bit of a better number on him. He's out?
Yep. He withdrew.
There you go. All right. Well,
so you don't have to lose the money on Danny Dumb Lee. So that helps. No, we're at Polo Grass, California, out here in the wine country.
What I figured.
No, and then Sammy Burns for sure. Definitely do that if you can get Will Gordon or Sammy Burns at the same number. I mean, obviously Sam Burns has had a little more experience, so I'm going to lean that. 66 is the range is stacked with names. This is the Vegas just doesn't know who's going to win. And you can maybe find one of the names in the 66 range that could pull it off. Cam Tringali, the guy needs a win. He hasn't won on the PGA Tour in his career. He's probably one of the most starts overall out of everyone in the history of the world that hasn't won. I think Kokrak and him are the same. But anyway, so he's there. Chesson Hadley, Grayson Murray somehow. Henrik Norlander, who was winning on the Korn Ferry and does things, or I don't know. And then
he's popular.
Furyk's here. Is he? Did I write that down right? My goodness.
He's on the odds board. I don't know if he withdrew or not, but he's on.
No, he's apparently playing with Lucas Glover as well, Luke List, Mark Hubbard, Rogers, Patrick Rogers, likes POA too, and likes California, and he's been playing great. Patrick Rogers, then RCB, a California guy, likes POA. Gooch, same thing. Tyler Duncan, my gosh. I mean, it's going to be a hard week for DraftKings to whittle this down. And then, I mean, I could see any of these guys doing a top 10 bet.
I love this range. There's a lot of guys in there that I like. I took two of them. Did take Patrick Rogers. Like you said, West Coast Stanford guy. He has had some good finishes here in the past, hits it a long way, scrambles pretty well, should be a good fit for him. And I took Luke List. He sets up really well for this course. I think it was 2 years ago when Tway won, I had a huge bet on Luke List at a large number, and he eagled 18 to miss out on that playoff by one stroke. Tway came in after him and birdied. So, hits it far. His approach numbers have been really good. I think he's first in the field in greens and regulation over the last sort of short-term period. So he sets up well. He got that win sort of when he stepped down to the Korn Ferry level, and this kind of feels like that type of field. Could have given him a little confidence. So those are my two guys in the 60s, but there's a reason to like a lot of different guys in this sort of realm of the board.
When I texted you, I was like, this is going to be hard to do a pod about. And it's like, it really isn't. I mean, these are some good names. And I like the long shots too. There's a name or two in this list of long shots, including your guy, Denny McCarthy. Are you going to go digging the dirt and dirty dirt?
Digging through the Denny dirt. No, I haven't bet him yet. I'm interested though. I just maybe I'll double think that, because I kind of glossed right over him in the range because of guys that I liked a little bit more. But like you said, he's playing well. His approach numbers are great. There's reason, like we alluded to like a lot of guys in this range. And this is the type of event that we can see 66 to 100-1 win. We haven't had that often with the FedEx Cup playoffs. True. It seems to be dominated by the top 5 players in the world. So it may be refreshing and give these guys feel like this is their shot. Let's cue it up. Let's go all systems go and go win the Safeway.
Exactly, dude. I like Christoph Ventura, another name that could easily do things, and he's in the 100 range or 80. And Maverick McNeely too. I put a bet on him because I've been betting him in worse fields, and he's at 80, which is a great number. Wyndham Clark, like something happened to his irons or whatever. They just disappeared.
I got Wyndham Clark. Yeah,
but I mean, at 100 to 1.
Yep.
Shit. Like, dude, Wyndham Clark is the Mackenzie Hughes of next year, where he could be in the top 30 and no one would be shocked, but like he could do it with the putter, does it in a different way. So I like Wyndham Clark to bounce back 2021. It's a new season. Let's go. Any long shot really that you're gonna think could win?
I took Clark. I'm also going to take top 10, top 20, and put a little bit on the outright on my guy Chris Baker. You go down that list, and he's playing good golf still consistently. I keep saying it. He's 150 to 1. I wish that had a 2 in front of it, but it doesn't. I'm still not going to shy away. I'm going to take it. But there's some guys. There's a couple of interesting names of guys coming back that are 2 years ago you look at JV Holmes. He's coming back from an injury this week. He's 100 to 1. You got Kevin Chappell, who had his injury issues, but he's a California guy. He's 125 to 1. These are big names. And then there's even, you've got Jamie Lovemark sort of making his return in the 250s. There's a guy at 300 that I kind of like in Isaiah Salinda, who's a Stanford guy. He played really well in the NCAA tournament. I think Stanford won the national championship with him and Brendan Wu. So they ended up beating Oklahoma State that year in Texas. And he took out some big golfers, and he's been trying to – he needs this. Like, these are the type of guys who need a top 10 finish in order to earn more spots and sponsors exemptions. So these are huge weeks for these type of players. You can maybe search pretty deep down on this odds board and find some great numbers on top 10s, I think.
Exactly. All right. I'm recapping my preferred plays. It begins with the 28 to 1 range, Joel Damon, Jordan Spieth. I'm going to do Doc at 33, Cam Davis at 40, Sam Burns at 50, and Maverick McNeely at 80. Those are some names, and I feel good about it. What about you?
Here's my names. Ches, 33 to 1. Sammy Burns at 50. I got List and P. Raj at 66 to 1. Wyndham Clark at 100, and a couple shekels on my guy Chris Baker at 150. But I may have to rethink about that Denny pick and get in on there. We'll see. I'll put it out later in the week.
Cool.
Yeah.
What about next week, Joe? We got a huge week. We got the U.S. Open. We got a great front nine guest for next week.
Yeah. You guys will enjoy that one. We're excited about it. Obviously, major season, 6 majors coming up, U.S. Open and Masters in the late fall. What more could you want? We're bringing it to you every week throughout the fall swing. So we appreciate you guys for listening, downloading. Give us a little review. Throw us 5 stars if you don't mind. And we'll see you next week. U.S. Open time, baby.
Go get some sleep, Joe.
All right. Peace.
Peace out.